Well, today's video, last night I didn't bother streaming, but I went ahead and finished up the other ribs for the inboard side and detail sanded it and glued it. So we now have two halves together. And I got to figure out a way to join them. But first, this morning I've been working on placing the trailing edge, which I should have done on the other one. And we're going to do that now. So I'm going to take it out of the jig. I don't know if anybody's going to watch this or not. Like I say, I'm basically doing it because it's easy to do. I don't have to edit anything. I can just upload it to the web. Got a problem here. Don't want to. Oh, I see why. Gotta take the jig part off. We have one half of the wing here. This is the inboard side. Hopefully it'll all clear. It looks like I might have to grind this just slightly. That's not a good idea. Better cut it. So we're going to set the bell crank up a little higher in the wing to clear all the landing gear. Gotta have a straight shot for the lead outs to go through. That looks pretty good. Of course, the end rib gets cut open like so. And the second one as well. That should be plenty good. Yeah, we got plenty. We got plenty clearance. Okay. So now I'm going to get the other wing and we're going to put the trailing edge on the other wing. So I need to put it back on the jig. Now is a good time to, like right here, there's a little bit of a bump there. You want to take some sandpaper and remember our goal is to have every piece fit. So wood is touching wood. You don't want to have any gaps. We got a loose rib here, so detail glue that up. To me, this one is down a little bit. Cut it loose. Yeah, that's better. Re-glue it. Keep sighting down the wing. That way everything stays straight. So now that I got that prepared to accept the trailing edge, I'm going to need a piece of sheeting. And I take the sheeting, you'll notice here this piece, but I'm going to have to use some wider stock than what I have here. I got some 4-inch up there. But we're going to take a piece of 16th. I guess Wendy would call it A grain. This is all C grain. But that's alright. You want to use pretty straight grain stuff. You don't want to have any bows in the trailing edge. So we're going to get our yardstick. There it is. Unbelievable. Pretty straight. So it doesn't need a straight edge on that. We'll sand it in a trailing edge. So we're going to measure this. I guess we started at 1 o'clock, so we'll run it for a little bit. Another thing about balsa wood, when I cut this, it's going to, if it is going to, it's going to warp or bend or bow like that. It's sprung in the direction of the grain. Let it breathe for a second. It's not bad though. So this is the straight side. I'm going to more or less cut it to length there. I want to square up the end. Hanging out with Spark videos are a little boring because they're raw footage. There's no editing or sound changes or anything. And I really need to know if you want me to continue doing these, or would you rather I went back to making movies? The only difference is when I make a movie, if it's an hour's worth of footage, it's 2 hours worth of editing. So that's why I really do like the live stream. No one's watching, and that's alright. If you're watching from the Stunt Hangar site, you have to be on YouTube in order to type in the chat box. So now I've got that, I have that pretty much tacked on and it's straight. I want to clean up the edge so that the other side can go on perfectly. So we're going to turn it over and set it down so I can sand it a little bit. And this is not really taking a lot of material off, it's just flattening out things so that all the wood, all the pieces touch each other. These airplanes are under such high stress loads in G-force terms that if you have gaps, what the heck is this? If you have gaps and it fails in one little spot, it's like a domino effect, or like tearing a phone book. The whole thing will fold up. So far in 50 years, I've never had a wing fold, and I really haven't had any structural failure aside from having the flap come unglued one time for not using the right glue. So that's close enough. We're going to need a little more sanding right here on the end. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and put the other side on. Except I have to do it like this. And welcome to those people just now joining. Don't know who it is. Straight as an arrow. Who we got in the room tonight or today? The Jim again? I got some loyal followers. I always use a saw when you're going to cut cross grain. It's a lot better than trying to use a scalpel. Perfect. Okay, I debated whether to sheet the leading edge, which I think I'm going to do first before I join the two halves together. We can do that, and then I'll plug the spar. So I'm going to go over to my kit of parts, which is a big pile of wood. We're going to choose from some 4-inch pieces. Now on this wood, I want relatively tight C grain. That's a good piece right there. It bends pretty easy. It'll go around the corner good. That's a little dry. I heard a snap. That's a C grain or A grain piece. No good. That's a good piece there. We need 4 of those. That's tight. That's a good piece. These are starting to creep up in weight. That's a good piece. It's that's a 14. That's all right. So we're going to do the bottom first. Now because this angle is a little different, we're going to cut this piece last up here, I think. I think I'm probably going to have to put it back on the jig to keep it from flipping. Okay, I know it's here somewhere. White glue. I have a small bottle of white glue that I use for attaching these skins. There it is. This white glue's been thinned 50-50 with water. Now, even though I'm going to CA this, I'm going to white glue all these stations as well, so that it's a good bond. What the heck is going on here? Well, I see they're popping in and out. When you join the stream, say hello so I know who's there. Now, this is the white glue. The most important ribs to glue are these landing gear doublers, because they take the most abuse in this. I'll have to see if I can find my stick pins. I don't know where I got them. I will be showing you today how I glue, or how I join the two center half, or the two halves together to make one unit, and make sure that it's straight. For you watching now, please let me know who's in the room. Say hello. All you gotta do is type in hi. So I know who's here. What in the heck is with my glue button today? Any of you geniuses out there know how to keep the glue from clogging up? Let me know. Okay, we got glue around the perimeter. Get a paper towel here. Wipe off or smooth it out or whatever. Like I said, the glue is mixed 50-50 water. Got a rib that's loose. Yeah, it won't matter, there's white glue on it. Okay, so now our sheet on here. I've taken the scrap pieces of trailing edge and cut some pads to spread the load from the clamps, because you don't want the clamps to leave an indent in the wood to create a havoc for finishing when you start finishing the airplane. So my mantra on the forum about finish starts with the first piece of wood cut is 100% correct. You know, if you build an airplane with a lot of gaps, a lot of terrible joints, it's going to be heavier, and you're not going to be able to finish it as well. Come on now. I just glued the jig to the rib. Okay, so now I need to cut some of this off so I can flip her over. Now this is where you could conceivably build a warp in the airplane by pulling this rib set, pulling the sheeting over. So what we're going to do is we're going to weight this down. I'm going to try to show it on camera, but I don't know whether I can or not. But we'll try. because of all the jockeying around and the cleaning up that I did with the sanding block to get it all level, the precision cutting of the ribs, the way that I put the spars in. You know, when I look at somebody's airplane and I look inside the wing through the lead out slots or dissect some crashed airplane or whatever, most of the time I find that except for a few people, Billy, Bob Hunt, the joints don't fit. If you ever look at a wing that Bob Hunt built, if you ever build you a wing, when you get it, every joint touches it. It's not, there's no air gaps. And that is so important in my book. Now, if you build a warp in the wing here, you might as well just throw it out. I mean, you can steam it out, but it's very difficult when you build a warp in. That's it. When you're doing this kind of stuff, cut it close, sand it perfect. Pretty important, I think. Take this off. That was just a holder to hold it onto the jig. So now I'm going to detail glue this spar area here. Remember, we got white glue here, but I'm going to back it up with some CA so that it's on there. So I can take the clamps off. I glued my finger. Now doing the other side's a little more difficult, doing this side, but I'll show you how I handle that. Nothing is that complicated. Got a little bit too much material here. Hopefully I can get this airplane framed up this week. Get back on my painting jobs. Need to paint, but tomorrow I'm going to work on a T-bolt. That's Sunday's my day. Okay, so a little bit of skin there. So we take the saw here. Got it. Any questions, ask in the box. Okay, so we'll worry about. No, I better cut this now. Got a longer graphics ruler here. And this is where it's a little difficult, but not too bad. Leave it a little long. Probably going to end up putting a false rib in it. I'm cutting outside that line so that when I join the two halves together, I have some sand room. Left about a 1/16 of an inch, cutting that off. Okay, let's put the other side on. We'll go through the whole rigmarole of white glue. check and make sure all these joints are a little nibber there. These plywood ribs are sticking up just a smidge. So in order to find where the landing gear pocket is, a real good way is to poke 4 holes at the corners where you're going to cut that notch. So put 1, 2. If I had a bigger pen, it'd be easier. 3, 4. That gives you a reference for 4 holes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. How did that get loose again? If you got a whole lot of excess glue running all over everywhere, wipe it off. You're only carrying around material you don't need. Oh, I wanted to show you. Remember, the insides of my airplanes, I try to make them look just as nice as the outside. Of course, not finished, but all the fits. You can use masking tape on the leading edge here, which we might do, I don't know. Nah, I'll just do it by hand. So now, I need a piece of wood this length. Cut this off. You want to save those pieces because you're going to cut cap strips out of those. Take off some of the excess glue that I got here. White glue with water in it, when the water evaporates, tends to pull things together, lock it up real good. Told you I glued the rib. I have to get that out quick. Okay, so now get the weight. Well, I'll put this on here first. The reason why I swapped ends is this has a little notch in it so that the sheeting wouldn't fit perfect. You definitely want everything to fit tight. So it's better to pay attention now than when you get to the end. Okay. We pretty much locked the twist up for the wing. It shouldn't twist, but you still want to keep your eyes on it. Anything's possible. Of course, the glue bottle's stopped up. Basically, what I use a CA for is a pin, right? Because I don't use pins because it's a lot of work to put all them pins in. A little humid today. It's a good thing I'm not painting. Now, before I detail glue the spar area, I'll sight down it, make sure it's straight. Then I'll go in and tack glue that while it's suspended, and that should That should keep her straight. Straight as an arrow. All right. It don't get no better than that. It's straight. Can't make it any straighter. So now we'll cut the excess off. Better get the. That's okay. What we have here is a very pointy leading edge. After I get the wing all together, I'll come back with a fixture and round it off. After it all dries up. So there we have that. Let's trim this off. No, I think I'm going to have to glue it up first. Glue her up. Everybody bored to death yet? Crap. I don't know who's watching, but definitely got to be boring. Yeah. I think we're going to take this out of the jig so I can move it a little easier. I know that it's straight, so dead straight. Look into it. Yep. Yeah, I think I'll cut the sheeting first. With nobody talking, I don't know what to talk about. I think we need a call-in program like I did before. Turn this on this side. Where's that? Remember, leave the light on. We got a lot of cutting off tools, but not very many putting back on tools. What happened there? It just was here. There. Better check that again. when I fit the two halves together, that's where this sanding will come in, and you got to massage it and make it perfect. I might put a center rib here. I don't know. We'll see what happens. In the old days, this airplane was originally built as a D-tube, and a D-tube is a wing that's built all in one piece. And back before I knew any better, the jigging of that particular wing was a little more difficult than the rod method, or I have another one of those central machine jigs. It's just such a pain in the butt to set up. I'm going to try another Lincoln log wing. I mean, it works. I'm just pretty used to this way. Why the heck is this thing stopped up again? Unbelievable. Looks like I might have to get out a new top and make a new snorkel. Most definitely. Yep. I've been using that snorkel for a while, so I guess it's time I just replace the whole thing. When you build a lot, I buy the CA by the quart in this bottle here. It's not a quart, it's I guess it's a pint. 8 ounces. You get 8 ounces for $30. It gives you 4 bottles instead of 3, so you save $10. And I buy these replacement tops, are 50 cents a piece, 49. So you get a box for $5. Then I buy this Teflon tube, and I think it's a quarter. And all that comes in pretty handy. If you're building a lot. If you're not building a lot, 1 tube of glue, because the glue does not last forever unless you put it in the refrigerator, and that'll help some. I'm going to cut it back and get stuck down in the hole. Ah. You cut this little pipe at an angle, more like thread the needle that way. Still not enough. Yeah, it's too much. Damn. Yeah, maybe not. There we go. And just a small piece of masking tape on there. One new snorkel. I think this one I retired. It's probably 3 months old. I've been using that same snorkel. Time for a new glue bottle too, but I hate to spend $10 just to get the bottle. Okay, so now we should be back in business. And acts a little better. Had a small gap there, and what I do is I put some CA in it, and sand, and then the dust will fill up the crack. That's a nice wing there. Okay, let's see what it weighs. We'll get an idea what our wing weight will be by weighing 1/2. .1 ounces. So we'll have a 5-ounce wing. I'd say that's pretty successful. Just detailing it now, making sure everything is glued. So we did the bottom. I'm going to make sure the top is glued. Now the covering, especially things that I cover these with poly span, the covering really unitizes everything. So a bit of sandpaper here. This 320. I'm just taking off the hairs off some of this stuff. I mean, this is more tinkering than an actual building. There's no really necessary to do this, but this is a customer airplane. And when they get it, I don't want them to go, well, what about this? Well, don't worry about it. We've been running a little over an hour and a half. Okay, let's do the other side. And then we're going to put them together. Hopefully, I have done my job right. It looks pretty good. I'm sure there'll be some jiggering in there. There always is. So we're going to do the bottom first again. And our two 14-inch pieces. These plywood pieces always stick up just a smidge. You don't sand that down. When you're going to put your sheeting on and you're finishing, that will show. Now, just so happened to work out perfect, I put the two 14-gram pieces on the outboard side, and these pieces are 13 gram. And you think, well, that doesn't make any difference. Believe it or not, yeah, it does. If you could add a gram, take away a gram from the inboard side and add a gram to the outboard side, that means there's 2 grams less wingtip weight you got to put in. So we'll go through this again. I think what I'm going to do, this process is just repeated. Just go through the same thing that I just went through on this wing. There's no sense in covering it twice. I think I'm going to cut the video and we'll return when I have both halves ready to put together, like so. And we can join them together. And it looks like it's going to be perfect. Perfect. My dad used to say. A little bit of pressure right there, but I should be able to get that out, no problem. So, give me a couple hours. I'll take a break and I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to put the sheeting on the leading edge here. And when we come back, we'll join the 2 halves together, make the compression spar, mount the bell crank, start doing cap strips and wingtips. It's a big airplane, really big wing. So, thanks for watching. I'll let this load up on the internet, and I'll be back in an hour or so. So, take care.